So yesterday we discussed about the factors of production. Factors of production. There are the three important factors of production are there: land, labor, and capital. Land, labor, and capital. Land, which has required for the set up the production centers. Labor, skilled or unskilled labor, which has required for the working in industries, in a production sites, and the capital. Through the capital, we produce the things. And all these three, these are the assembled by the entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs or the industrialists, they assemble all these number of resources for the production of goods and services. That is a part of the human capital. Then we discuss about the land. Why we call as a land as an important resource? Because land is a fixed resource which has not increasing but decreasing day by day. Land, this is the active factor of production because different kinds of activities are based on a land resource. Agriculture, industries, residential areas, all these are directly and indirectly are dependent on a land resource. Clear? Now the next one is the second. Is there a way one can grow the more from the same land, same agriculture land? Yes. There are the different ways to which we can produce as the more from a same agriculture land. How? Because we will discuss now. In India, there are the three agriculture seasons are there. In our book, there are the two are marked there. In practically, there are the three agriculture seasons are there: Kharif, Rabi, Rabi, and Zaid. 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 Kharif. It has run from the July to November. July to November is the duration of a Kharif season. In this season, the rice has basically produced. Rice, paddy production. Second is the Rabi, which has extends from the November to April. November to April. And the third is a Zaid. Zaid. It's a short duration of an agriculture season, which has run basically from the May to June. In a Rabi season, wheat is basically produced. Wheat. In Zaid season, vegetables, and also includes as a watermelon. Watermelon only produced in this season of May and June. But there are the most number of the fruits. They are available throughout the year. These are the results of such chemical components which are used in agriculture. Otherwise, the fixed time period of a ripening of mangoes are the July. In July, the naturally mangoes, they are ready for the harvest. But the mangoes, they are available in our markets at the month of January also. Yes, Dhiren.
Sir, some information of Palampur is given like 75% people do farming here. So this would be asked in the questions in exams.
Yes, regarding as a number of the farmers, it may be in a MCQ question. 1 mark MCQ question, such kind of the parts it can be asked. So the three seasons are there. Our question is there any of a way through which we can produce as a more from the same agricultural land? Yes, because some lands are there where only as a one agriculture crop is produced. One agriculture crop. Clear? Single crop has produced in a certain number of the areas. But there are the large extent of the Indian lands are there where the two crops are produced in a year. These two crops are producing these two seasons of a Kharif and a Rabi. Kharif and Rabi. Zaid has not practiced in all the parts. Reason is a deficiency of irrigation facilities. Deficiency of irrigation facilities has not ensured the production of three agriculture seasons. Three agriculture seasons or three of the crops These are produced in those areas where the naturally irrigation facility is available. And these areas are Assam and Meghalaya. In Assam and Meghalaya, 3 rice crops are possible to produce because of their soil. The type of a soil is a alluvial also found in a Punjab also. Second one is a hot, humid climatic conditions prevails throughout the year in Assam. But when we compare the Assam with the Punjab, in Punjab there are the winters also. Winters are not suitable for production of rice. That's why we produce the rice only the once in a year during the summers. And the third thing is a regular supply of water. Mawsam Ram receives the 1200 centimeters annual rainfall, but whereas Punjab receives the 80 centimeters annual rainfall, 70 to 80 centimeters. But the rice required more than 100 centimeters annual rainfall. So the rest of the deficiency of water has accomplished to the canals in Punjab. But in the northeastern states, Assam and Meghalaya, it's available through the naturally. Along the slopes of a mountains as such, water has easily available. Water is easily available in such areas. Clear? So the India's 67% of area is there where the 2 crops are produced. In of the areas of Punjab, Haryana, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, West Bengal, Central India, in such parts, 2 crops are produced. But a certain number of areas are there where the 3 crops are also possible to produce. 3 crops. In Tamil Nadu, 2 crops of a paddy are possible. Rice, 2 crops we can produce in parts of Tamil Nadu. But when we are talking about this particular village, on this village Palampur, there are only possible as 2 of the crops. There is a gap between both the Rabi and the Kharif season. Even in your state also. In Punjab also only the 2 of the crops are produced by the farmers. And government of Punjab, it restricted that nobody, it will be sowing the paddy before of 10th of June. Reason, high temperature. During a high temperature, more evaporation. So that water which you provide to the land, to the irrigation, it will be as evaporate, loss of water, then you again fetch the water from the underground surface of the earth crust. It will be as a loss of water, which is one of the reasons responsible for declining water level in India and Punjab. Clear? So their government restricted the farmers not to produce before offer, not to sow the crop before offer 10th of June. Before of 10th of June. It has ensured by the government of India and Punjab also. Clear? So the 2 of the seasons are there in which the in village Palampur farmers they are producing the crops. Clear? So farming methods in village Palampur, there are 2 kinds of the farming methods opted by the farmers. First, the traditional farming, traditional methods of farming. Traditional methods of farming includes practices in which they use techniques transferred from generations. In traditional method of farming, they include such practices which transfer from the generation to generation, not any kind of the modification in a traditional methods they used. Clear? They use the traditional methods of farming for production. In the other side, in traditional methods, they use bullocks for the tilling a land. Bulls they use for the plowing and tilling a land. In traditional methods of farming, they drawing the water from the wells. They drawing water from wells. They transporting. They basically produce a transporting and sent towards a market through the bullock carts. They use the traditional seeds which preserved in a previous year, in a last agriculture season, they use for the production in a next year. Traditional seeds used. That's why their per hectare production is a low production. Farmers, most probably they use as a traditional wooden tools and equipments. wooden tools and equipments they use for a farming. Farmers used organic manure, cow dung. Farmers used cow dung to increase their fertility. To increase their fertility of soil. To increase their fertility of soils. And at the end, the result, it comes as a low productivity. Low productivity caused to the traditional methods of farming, low production. Production is a low graded. But on the other side, the modern techniques of farming, they used HYV seeds, high yielding varieties of seeds. High yielding varieties of seeds for production. They use the high yielding varieties of seeds for production. High yielding varieties of seeds. Next one. Second, high yielding varieties of seeds. They include, under the modern techniques of farming, they use the electricity, machinery, and other sources of energy and irrigation facilities. They include electricity. They include use of electricity, machinery, and other sources of energy and irrigation facilities. Third one, they use the modern inputs of farming. Modern inputs of farming are fertilizers, insecticides, weedicides, pesticides. Insecticides, fertilizers, pesticides they use in farming. Mostly the farming has done through the machines, tractors, combines, threshers. Tractors for tilling and plowing purposes. For the harvesting, they use as a combines, and threshers use the removed remain of agriculture crop from agriculture fields. Threshers. Tube wells and canals are the main sources of irrigation. Tube wells and canals. These are the basic source of the irrigation used in a modern techniques of farming. So at the end, what results comes? The productivity of a land increases manifold. The productivity has increased to the modern inputs, modern techniques of farming as compared to the traditional techniques of farming. So production in a larger quantities, which has led due only to the modern techniques of farming. Modern techniques of farming. With the use of a modern techniques of farming, the per hectare yield, 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 it increased. Yield is measured as the crop produced on a given piece of land during a single season. So in a particular land, in a particular time period, the total production which has increased is known as the yield. I'm repeating again, yield is measured as crop produced on a given piece of land during a single season, single agricultural season is known as yield. And presently the per hectare production has increased through the multiple cropping and intercropping, changing in a cropping patterns. Earlier the traditional crops were the only the two, rice and wheat. But under the modern techniques of farming, crop rotation, changes in a cropping pattern, number of crops makes the possibilities for the obtain maximum from the agriculture fields. Because the reason is that earlier those traditional crops, wheat and the rice, which were every year produced by the farmers, it make the soils the deficiency of a certain number of the nutrients. Such nutrients these fulfill naturally to the other number of crops. For example, is the production of a mustard, production of a oil seeds increase the nitrogenous content in soils. That nitrogenous content, it can be fulfilled through the fertilizers, chemical fertilizers, but that kind of the crop, it will be as a hazardous, bad for the human health. So excessive production of a wheat and rice led to the deficiency of a nitrogenous content in a soil. Nitrogenous content in soil. But we can fulfill to the production if we produce the mustard in a single once in a year or in a next year also, to which the land it will naturally regain their fertility. But the other method is there through which the land it can regain their natural fertility is a fallowing. 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 It means when we unuse the land, when we are not use the land for production, when we remain unused the land for a certain period of time is known as fallowing, through which under this time period land naturally regain their fertility. Naturally regain their fertility to the growth of shrubs, grasses on that particular piece of land. The other way is there. The other way through which the land it can regain the naturally their fertility is the stubble mulching. Stubble mulching. STUBBLE. Stubble mulching. What is this? Stubble mulching. MULCHING. It means after the harvesting of a crop, the remain of agricultural crop mixed in a soil through the harvesters, through which also the land regain their fertility. But the process is slow. That process of soil regain their fertility is a slow process. So mostly the farmers they use as the other way chemical fertilizers. Through the chemical fertilizers they obtain maximum from the agricultural fields. Clear? Maximum from agricultural fields they obtain with the help of a chemical. In India, the Green Revolution which introduced in the 1960s increased production of wheat and rice in a parts of Punjab, Haryana and Uttar Pradesh. Why? What were the reasons responsible for this? In this Green Revolution, the HYV seeds were used. High-yielding varieties of seeds were used by the farmers. High-yielding varieties of seeds used by the farmers for production. With the electrification in agriculture, it makes the possibilities for fetch maximum water or the availability of irrigation for increasing the production. Modern inputs of farming, fertilizers, pesticides, they use in agriculture fields for increasing the production. Clear? What were their benefits? Now, benefits. What were the advantages of a green revolution? Advantages of green revolution. First, India becomes as a self-sufficient in food grains. At the time of independence, our 80% of food grains brought from the US and China towards India, wheat and rice. But through the Green Revolution, India it became as a self-sufficient in food grains. Self-sufficient in food grains. Self-sufficient in food grains. Clear? Second one, it improves the economic conditions of farmers. It improves economic conditions of farmers. Economic conditions of farmers. It improves the economic conditions of farmers. Those farmers which were under the pressure of a debt trap, they unable to return the loans, amount of loans timely to the money lenders. Now they were able to return their loans timely to the money lenders, or they basically obtained the loans from the banks also. So economic conditions improved. Third, Increase in exports as compared to imports. This is as the positive balance of trade. Positive balance of trade means increase in exports as compared to imports. At the time of independence, India imported the more food grains from a foreign towards country and less exported. But through the Green Revolution, India became as a self-sufficient. Now the exports are increasing and imports decreasing. Imports decreasing. Exports increasing and imports decreasing with the possibilities of increasing production through the Green Revolution. Green Revolution. Fourth one, a good irrigation system can enhance the changes in cropping patterns. A good irrigation system enhance a good irrigation system enhance crop production through changes in cropping pattern. Changes in cropping pattern. Changes in cropping pattern. Next one, fourth point, it helps, Green Revolution helps to change agriculture from subsistence to commercial. Subsistence. Earlier, farmers, they produced the crops for their survival, for the needs of their families. But now through the Green Revolution, agriculture becomes as the commercial. Changes agriculture system from subsistence to commercial farming. Commercial farming. Commercial farming. And last, Green Revolution supplied more grains in markets, which help to control over prices. Inflation means inflation. Green Revolution supplied more grains in markets, which helps to reduce inflation rate. Inflation rate, INFLA, inflation rate. Inflation rate. Inflation means hike in the prices. Hike in the prices of a goods. It easily controlled when the supply of materials more in markets. Mostly the prices of goods, these are increasing in a such of a condition when such conditions when supply reduced under the circumstances of a low production. Clear? So these are the advantages. Now the demerits, disadvantages of a Green Revolution. Disadvantages of a Green Revolution. Disadvantages of Green Revolution. Loss of soil fertility due to excessive use of fertilizers. Our soils are sustained on fertilizers. If we reduce the number of fertilizers, then what will be happen? They will be as a per hectare production will reduce. Our soils are sustained on fertilizers. Soils sustained on fertilizers. Mitansh Patriya, pay attention. Excessive use of fertilizers and insecticides. Excessive use of fertilizers and insecticides kills bacteria and microorganisms which are helpful to increase fertility of soils. Fertility of soils. Green Revolution used in Punjab, Haryana and Uttar Pradesh, which makes economic disparity it makes economic disparities with other states. Where Green Revolution not introduced, not influenced the people, in such areas, people lagging behind as compared to the areas of Punjab, Haryana, and Uttar Pradesh. Economic disparities. Economic disparities means differences. Economic disparities. Economic disparities are caused due to the not influence of a green revolution in other areas. In other areas. So these were as a demerits. Is that clear? So any questions in your side? Any questions? Ashmit Nagpal, yes.
Sir, इसका question क्या है sir?
Not clear.
Sir, इसका question क्या है?
किसका?
Sir, इसका and पिछले वाले का question क्या है?
Question is just only as a green revolution, what are their merits and demerits? If the question asks you that the critical analysis of a green revolution and how does the green revolution threat to the land or a society, then you have to mark